Hello and welcome to the show For the Ages. I am Diane Lang, host of For the Ages. Come and let's drink some coffee or sip some tea and we'll share some stories. Hi everyone, I'm Diane Lang, host of For the Ages. We are here today at Maple Knolls radio station, WMKV, and For the Ages is getting ready to interview the famous and illustrious Alice Hornbaker. Alice, you've certainly had a remarkable career, especially in journalism and TV. And now you're writing a book.
Yes.
And you've just published another book.
Yes, I have.
WOLD in Cincinnati. I have it right here.
Yes, that's my little novel.
Okay, I can't wait to read it. And you've also been in Who's Who in America for 2011.
That's right.
And you write a blog called Grow Bolder.
Yeah, growingbolder.com.
Okay, and my first question is why were you selected to be in Who's in America for 2011?
Well, they select you. You don't select them.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was at the Inquirer, Cincinnati Inquirer. When they first came to me, and I was also on a lecture tour, and my first book came out, and they came to me and asked if I would fill out a questionnaire, and they would consider me. And I didn't hear from them, and all of a sudden you do, and then suddenly it's in, and I think once you get in, they never take you out. I don't know how to do that.
That's great. I mean, I am so inspired by you that you are doing all these things when a lot of people around your age and younger are revving down. You're revving up.
I have never gone down.
Is there a secret, or do you have someone who inspired you?
No, I'm a very high energy person. There was a nickname for me in college, which I won't repeat, but the professor said that I was just on the go all the time, and that's just part of who I am. But I always believe, I think I mentioned to you, that when you retire, you don't retire from life. You just retire from a job. So when I left one job, I had something else I wanted to do desperately and try that. And sometimes you fail and sometimes you win. So just keep busy at things you really have a passion for.
And what is the main thing that you have a passion for right now?
Well, my novel, for example, right now, I'm very much passionate about that. And my broadcasting here at WMKV, which has been on for 15 years, and I've been there for 15 years, and that is my real passion, is broadcasting.
Okay, speaking of your novel, WOLD in Cincinnati, it sounds really interesting, but it sounds a lot like your life. Is it autobiographical? Or?
Well, to be sure. I don't think anyone who writes novels, fiction, can't put themselves into it in some way, and I think that's the basis of it. That gave the idea of a journalist who was reinventing herself in a youth-oriented society, and that was part of it in the novel. And of course, the wonderful people I've met here and everywhere who were elders and doing wonderful things, and they inspired me too.
Okay, what is the main plot of the novel? Can you tell us a little bit?
Well, it's about WOLD is a little zany radio station in Cincinnati, in a retirement community. What a stretch! So what they do is employ. Well, they don't actually employ them. They're senior volunteers that help run the station, which is, this takes place in 1976, and that was really novel, really for that time, because in 1976, there wasn't that kind of thing. None of the programming was for just seniors, and this is what the station would do, using volunteers on air and off, and they had some terrible mishaps as a result of it, but that's part of the story too, and that's what the focus is on. The vast number of things that senior volunteers do. They're pretty amazing people. And they are right here at Maple Knolls Village where I live too.
Okay, what's your favorite part of the book? Or what is your...
My favorite part of the book, I think perhaps, is the character, the 90-year-old philanthropist, the wonderful woman, Lana, who is at 90, she's going on 30. And while she has all the money in the world, I think she's richer than God, probably. But she's one of those people that really looks at people as people. Her wealth doesn't make her any better or any worse than anyone else. And I think I try to interpret that because she shows the vitality of people. It doesn't have to diminish when you get to be 60 or 70 or 80 if you have this energy and this feel for other people. And that's what she does. She helps out other people that she thinks are good people.
Okay, and besides the book, you also have a blog that I think is so interesting. And it looks like you have a really big following. And it's called Growing Bolder versus Growing Older.
That's right.
And to me, as I'm growing older, I really would like to grow bolder. What can I do to grow bolder? What are you saying?
Well, I think what I said before, if you have a passion for life, that's what really makes a difference. To get something you're excited about, a reason for getting up in the morning, besides my dog, which of course I get up for whether I like it or not. But other than that, just have to have a passion for a project or a volunteer job or a real job that really makes you really want to get up. And that's what you have to do, because if you get up with a ho-hum, it's Monday or it's Tuesday and there's nothing on the schedule, that's not a way to live.
No, I agree with you. Do you think it keeps you younger? You seem very, very young.
Oh, I think it does. I really do. And a lot of my friends are the same way. They really have an enthusiasm. And that's what this book is about. It's an enthusiasm for life in all of its stages. And we all have cycles. We're all going to grow older if we're lucky. And so just plan your life around living as fully as you can.
What is the boldest thing you've done this year?
The boldest thing I've done, I don't know if it's bold or not. I guess probably bring that novel out in March probably was, because at my age, people will say, well, why would you want to write a novel at your age? And I just come back with, why not?
Yeah, I know. Well, my daughter kind of said the same thing to me, because I'm also a writer. And she would say, why do you want to continue to do this? And I said, well, because like you, it's a passion. It's wonderful. And you also, and I know that when you do novels, you have to go out and PR it, right?
Oh, indeed you do.
And that's tough. That's almost tougher than writing the book.
It is.
So you're doing a lot of book signings, correct?
Yes, I'm doing book signings. As a matter of fact, this Friday I'll have one at the Riley's Restaurant here in Springdale at 2 o'clock. And then on May 20th, also a Friday at 10:30, I'll be at the Sycamore Senior Center for a signing, and that's as far as I've done it so far. But the one at Riley's, I hope to get a lot of local people that are in the area to come.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, you've had a long career in journalism. Okay, so who are some of the more interesting Cincinnatians that you've interviewed?
Well, you know, I've said I think I've interviewed everybody that's ever lived in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
At one time or another, it seems like. But I do have some favorites. Mark Schott, for one.
Okay, before you go on, let me interrupt you. Now, what newspapers did you write for?
I wrote for the Cincinnati Enquirer for 17 years, almost 18, and then I wrote for the Cincinnati Post as a columnist for another almost 10 years.
Now, what was your column about?
It's called Life After 50. I started at the Enquirer, had a couple different names, but ended up Life After 50. Went to the Post with it. Then I went to Channel 12, where I was their expert on aging for 3 years, and I had the column on there and there. I was on WMLX, I think, commercial radio. I had the column on there, and now I have it at WMKV, so the column has followed me for the past almost 40 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. Well, no wonder you met so many great people.
Oh, absolutely. I say one of my favorites is Mark Schott, who was an institution in Cincinnati. And a lot of things that happened, wonderful things that happened in this town are because of Mark Schott. And of course, at one time she owned the Cincinnati Reds. But I was a personal friend of hers for a lot of years. She was very good to me. And then there was Pat Corbett, who's done so much for Cincinnati. I did a profile on her for the Enquirer, and she was a delightful lady, and she would send me tickets for the Cincinnati Symphony. I was a divorced mother with a son growing up who loved the symphony, and she would send me tickets all the time to go to the symphony. She was a marvelous, wonderful lady, very, very gracious lady. And then I became friends with Nick Clooney, and who's gone on. Talk about somebody that no matter how long he ages or how long, he's always doing something wonderful. And we got there, and I always told people I never wanted to get on a lecture platform after Nick Clooney.
Oh, really?
Because he would just take the crowd apart when he would do it, and I just thought I would be an actor. I don't want to do that. But he was a wonderful, wonderful interview. I've had many of them, and I think they've all been fantastic people to interview because they're so vital themselves.
Yeah. Have you met Rosemary Clooney or
No,
George Clooney?
No, I have not met either of them, but I've talked to a lot of people. I did Bob Hope once, but funny thing was on the phone, and I'll never forget it because when I called him, we were on deadline as always, and he said, I asked him a question, he said, "Can't you think of something new to ask me? That was such a dumb question." And I said, "Well, it may be dumb to you." I said, "But I've never asked you the question, so why don't you indulge me and answer it for me?"
Oh,
and he just laughed and went on after that. He did it.
So can you tell us something about Marge Schott, something personal? I know you said you were her good friend.
Oh, yes. Well, I remember one time she saved my life, practically. I was working at that time at the news desk. I'm a feature writer. I'm very seldom to hard news. But they sent me over to the desk to do it. They sent me down. They were thinking of kicking her off in baseball and so forth, and they wanted to get a quote from her whether she was going to an owners meeting. I went down there, and she had a very big burly guard there at the door, and he said, "You will not get in to interview her." And it's an auditorium downtown. And he had to go on a call, and he walked away from the desk, and I went in there anyway, started down the aisle with him in pursuit of me, and I got down there, and I thought, "Oh, please, Marge, please say that you know me." And I got down there, and she said, waved him off and said, "It's okay. Hi, Alice." And it saved my life. And I got the quote to go in because they were waiting on deadline for it.
Oh, my gosh.
So she did save my life on that story. So I was very grateful for that.
Have you ever met Jerry Springer?
I have met Jerry Springer, and I know a lot of people talk about who he is now as opposed to who he was then. He was a young mayor of Cincinnati. I interviewed him. I went to his home. His daughter was just a toddler at the time. Sat down on the floor, played ball with her. And I think he has a pretty darn good voice. And he could play the guitar and sing, and I was delighted with him. I thought he was a very witty young man at that time. I was impressed.
I remember he would give commentaries on WKRC.
Wonderful. Yes, he became famous.
Were wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed those.
Yes, he had very sharp guy, really was sharp. And what he went into later in his career, there was pros and cons on that, but that was him. But I was very impressed with him as a young man.
You've also written for major publications too.
Oh yes, I did.
Like AARP and the New York Times.
And People magazine. I did, Irv Westheimer was the guy that founded this Boys Society, and I interviewed him, a multimillionaire himself, and he was going to reach his 100th birthday. So I went to People magazine with a story, and it became a story in People magazine on his 100th birthday. And that was a lot of fun.
Well, you certainly have had a remarkable career.
I'm
very, yeah, it does sound like a lot of fun, and you met a lot of really great people. Well, I must say you are aging gracefully.
Thank you.
You look gorgeous, and I would like to present you with a bottle of wine, because like a fine wine, you are aging wonderfully.
Well, we both like each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Alice. This was a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
And we're so excited you came on For the Ages.
Oh, good. I want to remind everybody my site, WOLDinCincinnati.com. You can find out about the novel there.
And Alice is having 2 book signings, one at Riley's, and what was the time again?
This Friday at 2 o'clock, and then in May 20th at 10:30 at the Sycamore Senior Center.
Okay, so make sure you all come out and see Alice at her book signings.
And some senior volunteers will be with me.
Right, and you can get her book, WOLD in Cincinnati. It sounds wonderful. I can't wait to read it.
It's kind of fun.
Okay, good.
I hope.
Okay, I am Diane Lang, host of For the Ages, and thank you for joining us today. And I look forward to the next time we meet, and we can sip a cup of coffee and drink For the Ages.
I'll go on with that. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.